And so I just want to articulate a little bit, what do we mean by embodied listening? Why am I calling it this? Why do I need to say embodied listening as opposed to just listening? I suppose in an ideal world, I wouldn't have to say that. Our listening really genuinely would be an act of full-bodied, wholehearted presence and availability for the experience of another. We could say like that. But it's just really interesting to contemplate questions. What do we actually mean by listening? What is listening? And what are we listening to? And what are we listening for? And what are we listening with? And why might we want to develop this capacity to listen? So in embodied listening, we are not just listening with our ears. And we're not just listening to words that people might say. We are listening with our entire self, our whole body. We could imagine, and this is actually true, although not in a physical sense, that every single cell in our body is listening, is paying attention, is responding to the environment that it's in, to the other cells around it, and trying to find a way to sort of function and live together. So I'm sure by now you've had that sense of different parts of your body have every single part of our body has a unique experience. And you could say that every single part of our body listens in a very particular way. So how do our hearts listen? How do our bellies listen? How do our ears listen? How do our little fingers and toes listen? And then if we take that as a full experience, what does that add up to? And of course, it's not just with sound either, is it? We're listening to all sorts of different sensory cues. We're listening to visuals. We're listening to sensation. We're listening to, movement. We're really tuning into the subtlety of experience. So it's a synesthetic experience. All of our senses are very much involved. And I have a lovely, very young friend who was born with a particular condition which has left him blind. And it's so interesting to watch him, from a very small baby, the way that he can't see, he's not relying on his visual sense. And just watching him every now and again, it's like he stops and he's listening, and you can see his entire body becomes this giant ear. It's like every single cell, every single hair on his skin, everything is like alert and really attentive to what's going on around him. And so we can have this feeling too, when we're really present and deeply listening, available, wanting to receive whatever data is going on around us. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. And so we can start to consider, what are the qualities of good listening? What is the value of listening? And what is the power of listening and presence? So I truly believe that listening has the power to transform people and situations. When we are deeply heard and felt by another, what does that do to our nervous systems? What effect does that have on us? And I'm sure we all know, we've all had experiences where we've felt really deeply listened to, where someone has just been really there for our experience, and we're able to share ourselves in a very full way, and the effect that has on us. So it's good to recall that, and also the opposite, times where we're really not listened to, where we weren't felt, where we weren't seen, and what does that do? So I really feel that deep listening has the power to open, to unfold, to kind of unlock the potential of another human being. The poet David White says this beautifully. He says it's the listening that actually draws out the story. When we're listened to, there is a space for us. There is a space for us to move into, to expand and unfold and become more of the fullness of who we are. So our listening and attuning, again, it's not just listening with our ears, because we know the difference where somebody's just listening to the words and they're not really feeling what's underneath. So that sense of attunement that comes when somebody's tracking not only the words that we're saying, but the emotional quality or the felt sense underneath, that quality or ability really offers a sense of safety, which deeply communicates to us, our most basic need, primary need is safety and survival. So when somebody is deeply listening to us, it really communicates a sense of, I'm here. I'm really here with you and for you, and your experience is safe with me. So this creates a sanctuary, this creates a safe haven, and the opportunity for what we call now this co-regulation. So in times and moments where we struggle to self-regulate because, we've happened upon something that is very difficult to be with, we need to outsource, we need to onboard other resources. So 2 nervous systems are better than 1 in that situation. And this creates a wider resource to then be able to process, our stress and difficult emotions, and to come back to a sense of ground and balance. And we know now that this is very much what human beings need. This is how we develop as children. We're not born with this ability to self-regulate. In fact, my daughter's teacher was telling me the other day that ability to self-regulate is really not fully formed until a child is about 9. So that's a long time of learning, how to be with oneself. And to do that, we need to have a wider resource. And there's a lot of research now to suggest that, this really makes the difference between a difficult, a traumatic event happens to us. If we have an empathetic, listening witness to be with us and kind of hold us through that circumstance, we have the opportunity to just let it work its way through, and it will resolve. If we don't have that, then our very intelligent organisms are going to pocket that away somewhere until a time where it does feel safe for that to come up. So this just makes a huge difference in terms of the repercussions of stressful, adverse experiences later in life. And as a parent, I've just experienced this so many times now directly. It's so abundantly clear to me that with children, so when my daughter comes to me, she's upset about something, she's hurt herself, she's overwhelmed, she's frightened. If I can just really meet her in her experience, I see that you're upset. Come here, let's have a cuddle. I see, was that scary? Are you frightened? I validate her experience. Whether or not it seems logical or reasonable to me is beside the point. Because what she needs in that moment is somebody to say, I'm with you. I'm with you and I've got you. And to really not try to rush her through it. if I'm in a rush and I'm trying to, come on, let's move on, it actually makes it worse. It's really just amazing to watch, actually, and sometimes she'll need to cry for quite a while. Seems like it's going on for a long time, but I just, give her a cuddle, stay with it. And then she says, I'm okay now. And off she goes, and that's a 2-year-old who can say, I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm upset. The other day she said, I'm having a hard time. And I just felt so, I don't know what the word is, but I felt so happy that she has words now to be able to say, and that she feels free to express that. And the times where I'm struggling, if I'm exhausted and I'm, my attention span is, or I'm triggered in some way, if I just reach a point where I feel like I have a limit and I don't have enough space or enough give in my own system to be a source of co-regulation for her, it just makes it so much worse. It amplifies her feeling of distress. So it's a huge job as a parent, trying to be that resource for our children. And this is why I feel like, developing these skills is so important, and supporting parents and children and families is so important, because how we are with our children in these early stages of life largely determines how they will cope with life as they get older. So it's very critical. It's a very critical skill, actually. And whether it's our actual children, our own children, somebody else's child, everyone we meet is somebody's child, and everyone we meet was a child, and pretty much all of us have some level of unresolved wounding from our own childhood still with us. We all know this. So we all have these unresolved children inside of us. And can we meet that unresolved child? What does it need right now? What does it need to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel supported, to then be able to, come back and regulate, and to remember our strength and our capacity and our beauty, which we all have. And then say, I'm okay now, and off we go to play. So our listening is just such a tremendous gift for other people. I hope that is clear. And also when we're present and available for others, when we are able to just sort of really be there in a very open way that doesn't have a particular agenda, we're also tremendously enriched by others, by listening and by hearing their experience, their struggles, their learnings. We can be tremendously enriched by other people's experience. We see aspects of ourselves in other people. We realise our shared humanity. We discover things about ourselves that we couldn't have seen on our own. So we all reflect each other. So that's just to say that, our listening is not purely for others. We also benefit because of our interdependence. So it's very beautiful. It's very, very beautiful.